Bob. Bob! Are you okay, friend?
Papa, you're all right.
Where am I? What is this?
You need to lay off the spirits, Robert. We found you out yonder in a ditch. You look like you took a nasty fall.
I'm not Bob Gray.
Well, who else might you be then? Peter Rabbit?
Don't you dare speak to me that way. I am a god, an eater of worlds.
Must have hit your head a little harder than you thought there, didn't you, Bob?
No. Tricky. Dicky.
Who's Dickie, Bob?
I'm not.
Here with Tully Television. I want to thank all of you for stopping by. Hope today is the day we earn that subscription. Every interaction here helps. Even if you don't agree with what we're saying about a particular thing, disagree down below. Let me know how you feel about what we're talking about today. And today we're going to be talking about It, Welcome to Derry, Episode 8, entitled Winter Fire. Winter is coming. And this was, I would have to say, probably the best episode out of the whole series. Between the acting by Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, I think he's done some of his best work here with the character. Again, the visual effects, I think the pacing was pretty well done in this series, especially considering that Pennywise didn't really show up until episode 5, and to get these last 3 episodes was pretty wild. It just really picked up after he came into the series, so to speak. And I'd have to say that in an overall sense, this show, this season, and it's indicating there will be at least a second season, maybe even a third, that there's a lot of things that happen in this season finale that kind of break the lore of it, kind of raise questions about things. They made such a big thing about the pillars and the artifacts in this season that to not have any knowledge about that or have it referenced in the It movies, right, in the 2017 version and the sequel to that. So I'm kind of curious on how they're going to eventually explain that away. We find out that Pennywise is so omnipotent that he can see the past, present, and future all at once. Because at one point in the beginning of this episode, Pennywise, knowing that one of the pillars was destroyed, decides to get back up from his sleep and start spreading his evil across the world. Which raises another question. So does that mean the sleep cycle is required, so to speak? Because he was about to entered his sleep cycle, but was able to get up and try to do more fighting and more eating of children and more trying to take over the world. So is the sleep cycle necessary, or does he just choose that amount of time because he knows that's around the time he comes back anyway? And does he just kind of chill and just feed on the fear of the anticipation of him coming back, right? is he eating on that anticipation of fear, right? And so it opens up that question. It opens up a question Margaret brought up to Lily after the whole ordeal was done, after defeating Pennywise. That's not a spoiler. They defeat him, because if they didn't defeat him, he wouldn't have came back to, for 2 more cycles after this. The initial plan by the adults is to use the missing dagger to close the prison, to close the circle that's imprisoning Pennywise. The kids, Margaret, Lily, and Ronnie, want to use it to kill Pennywise. And both plans are valid in their own ways, but Pennywise opens up the episode with basically deadlighting the whole school, and Will from last episode killing the principal after he used him as a puppet to scare the children in the school. And as he's leading them back to his base, so to speak, as they're floating in the air, he's in his little circus van, a little circus truck there, cart, and he's playing the trombone for nobody but himself. This is how diabolical this man is, okay? This entity, if you will, not even a man. And so they hollering, and the adults, Rose and her nephew, and Leroy Hanlon and the wife, and Ronnie's father. Rose says to Dick, if you drink this herbal tea that I just made, you'll be able to focus in on the energy of the dagger, and we can find out where the dagger's at, and then use it to, again, imprison Pennywise. Halloran is able to pinpoint kind of where they're at. The adults start going towards that direction. Once the fog spreads past a certain point, that's it. There's really no more containing him. And the mist, the fog, some are equating it to the same type of mist in the Stephen King movie The Mist. Okay, because the stuff that came from that portal that was open in the mist is from the same area where Pennywise is from. So there's a curiosity if there's a connection between that. So finally the adults and the children meet in that area where it's supposed to be the Native American war chief from back in the initial time of the Indians trying to contain this entity, right? And so that's where they have to kind of put the dagger, and she's kind of helping them too a little bit. The spirit, that the warrior chief spirit, is helping them out as best as she can. And at some point, I'm telling you that just the way Pennywise just will mess with you so bad, it's wild. It's just really terrifying. It's really terrifying. Again, Skarsgård just does an excellent job. Even the little adding of the drooling, right, is like is terrifying. It's terrifying. It's more terrifying than the Terrifier, maybe. I don't know. Imagine those two going at it. Jeez Louise. However, so the adults are trying to... at one point, as the adults are trying to distract Pennywise from the kids trying to do the dagger thing, Halloran is able to trap the Pennywise into a memory of Bob Gray. And he's able to kind of keep him there for a little bit until, there's a distraction, and then Pennywise realizes what's going on and realizes it's Dick and kind of starts messing with him a little bit. So, yeah, Dick winds up getting distracted, and he can't really contain Pennywise anymore. Hanlon is able to get Pennywise some headshots, blowing his head away, so to speak. Now, the kids, with the dagger, trying to put the dagger back into where it belongs, it became much like, it started getting heavier, it started getting more difficult to bring it there to the area, because it's looking to, it has like a will of its own in a way, kind of like almost like the ring in Lord of the Rings, right? The closer you get to Mount Mordor, the more difficult it's going to be to try to put in the ring into the fire. And as the kids are trying and trying, the war chief makes someone be able to come back and help them. And it's our boy, motherfucking Richie, bro. He comes in spirit form, and as he's running, he flips off Pennywise, and he's able to get his hands on the dagger with everyone else, and they're able to push it in. And as Pennywise turns into this big dragon-looking thing, there's a huge explosion. It tears away images that he's used, the entity, until finally he's just a ball of light and goes away and hides, and we won't see him until the next cycle. But when he cornered Margaret, he revealed to not only the audience but to her that she's going to have a son, and her son is going to be one of the loser club members that kill it in the future. So she asks Lily, after all this is done, can Pennywise go back in the past and kill one of us? Make one of us not be born, just to avoid getting murdered, destroyed in the future. And that's a very interesting question that's going to be arised after this season. Can Pennywise do that? At breaking the lore of him being destroyed totally in It Chapter 2, when the Loser Club becomes adults. So there's so much lore breaking done in this season that where is it going to bring the show next is going to be the next big question. Does, again, Pennywise even need to sleep? This just goes to show Lieutenant Shaw, he winds up dying because he confronts Pennywise and tells him he can leave. And this is how dumb we are, that we think we can control cosmic entities. And Pennywise is like, oh, I remember you. Oh, yeah. And winds up beating his whole face off his face, brother. Like, we have this man-made constructs thinking that because we're the superior beings, so to speak, the superior we get to talk and have opposable thumbs. You know what I mean? And compared to cosmic entities, we're gnats, so to speak, in a lot of different ways. Again, what is this time, being able to tell the past, present, and future going to do as far as Pennywise and his abilities how's that going to unfold in the future? Rose's nephew, Daniel, winds up dying during the interaction of trying to get the dagger back in to close off the portal. Leroy Hanlon is asked by Rose to stay in Derry and be the history takers of it and the entity, and try to keep an eye on everything. And they agree. We do know that his son will die between now and the next cycle, I believe, and that's unfortunate. We do know that Margaret's going to have one of the Loser Club members. What's going to be up with Lily? And at the end of this episode, we see Pennywise, Bob Gray's daughter, in a mental institution. She's there all of her life, and we go and we see her being. Her attention is going to another room down the hall of a patient who committed, hung themselves. Okay, and it was the young girl from the Losers Club. It was her mother. So, Periwinkle, if you will, said, "Don't worry, dear. Anyone who dies in Derry doesn't stay dead." And that's the same exact thing that the entity had said to her while taking the form of Periwinkle, right? As Bev got older. That's why she thought about that image. She thought, so she was right in that being Bob Gray's daughter, but it was the entity taking the form of that as she was an adult. But this is where the first interaction comes between Ingrid and this character. And we see that even in this tragic moment, as she tries to hug her father, right, Bev, the father pushes her away aggressively. And that's where we leave. Will promises to write Ronnie every day so she doesn't forget him. And because her and her father leave Derry, and I like to see what happens with that, you know. And then we end with the funeral for Richie. Dick gets offered a job at the hotel that's featured in The Shining. So I'd love to see a series of that. And that's where we are left at the moment. I want you guys to tell me what you think of this season, what you think about this episode, what you think about this series, and the lore-breaking stuff that it did. Do you agree with it, not agree with it? In an overall sense, I'd have to say this series is definitely an 8.5 out of 10. Richie was my favorite character out of the kids. Dick Halloran and Leroy Hanlon were some of my favorites out of the adults. And Bill Skarsgård, no one can touch him as Pennywise. I mean, come on. Come on. Who can be a better Pennywise currently than this man? Let me know. He's really invested into this character. But that's where I'm at with this. Again, let me know what you guys think. And until next time.